The VIP lounge. This is very smart. I'm with the chairman of Speedworth, Les Eaton. Les, did you found the company?
Yes, I did. Yeah, right back in about 1958, really, when we started.
And then it was just Speedworth and became international a couple of years later.
No, it started off as international, although it wasn't truly international then in those days as it is today.
So where is it today?
Well, it's most parts really. America, which is obvious, everybody, that's where it originated from. You've got Holland, Belgium, Germany, Denmark, Scotland, Ireland, South Africa. So, and we did have one little spell in Beirut, but then the trouble.
Yeah, I can imagine that would have got a bit
yeah, so they're doing their own stock car racing out there now, I think.
Why did you start it? Were you just crazy about this sort of racing?
No. To tell you the truth, a friend of mine that I was in business with went stock car racing weekends. And he asked me one weekend to go to Bellevue in Manchester. So I drove the lorry up with his stock car and took the wife and the children. And when we looked at it, we thought, well, this is quite nice. We enjoyed it. But what impressed me more, I looked around the terraces and saw the people standing on the terraces. And I worked them out. It used to be 5 shillings then to go into stock car races. So I worked out all these 5 shillings. And I knew what the drivers got paid and what have you. And I assumed what other things were. And I thought, this must be a very good business, you know. So the next thing is, when I got back to the local area where I lived, which is Aldershot, there was an old disused track there. So I went and found the track and away we went. And it's never worked out like it did when I worked it out at Bellevue, of course. But we've been doing it ever since.
Still there, 30-something years later.
Yes, that's right.
And how many events a year does Speedworth put on?
Oh, I think it's probably about 150, 160 meetings a year.
It's one every 2 days?
Yeah, more or less, yes. I mean, if you take today as an example, you've got 2 meetings going on today at Ipswich and one at Eastbourne. Yesterday we had one at Yarmouth, one at Wimbledon in London. And, that's it. You sort of double up all the time. Now, very shortly we start at Yarmouth, and that runs 3 times a week up there. And then you've got the Eastbourne track, that runs every week. Aldershot runs every week. Wimbledon runs every week. And normally Wisbech runs every week. So, you see, that's how it works out to the number of meetings, really.
Well, because while we've been speaking, they started warming up out there. We're getting the noise. You must live with that noise most of your life.
All the time, yeah. It just doesn't seem natural to me, if I go out in the countryside and you just hear the birds chirping or something like that, that doesn't sound real somehow. You've got to have engines roaring to make it sound real.
Would you like to take a guess at how many of these meetings you personally have been to now?
Oh, I couldn't read. It must be in the millions, I should think now, because although obviously when you get double up on meetings, I can't go to every meeting. But I always go, if there's 2 meetings, I always go to one of them. So you can say I go to probably 3 or 4 a week, throughout the summer season.
And still enjoy it as much as you do?
Oh, yeah, I enjoy it just as much as the first day I got involved with it, It's a bug that gets into you. You just can't get rid of it,
Yeah, I can imagine. But now, the drivers, you must have met a few of those over the years.
Oh, yes, yeah, and that again is another thing. We have young drivers that started in the early days. They were probably 15 or 16. They're now married, got children. Some have even got grandchildren. They still come to the meetings.
Still driving?
No, well, some are still driving.
Some of them are grown up.
But most of them are grown up. Now you've got their children coming on now.
Oh, really?
I would say probably today, you've got racing here, I should think at least 20 drivers out there are youngsters of the original dads that started, 30 years ago.
And quite a sort of a closed, cliquey community, I should have thought, isn't it? I mean,
it
everyone
is,
knows
yes.
everyone else.
It's not intended to be cliquey. I mean, anybody can break into it. Nobody's forced out of it. But it is a sort of a thing, when you're a stock car supporter, you are in a different world to everybody else. They're nice people. Everybody is nice people, I know it's a rough sport, and your first appearance when you look at it, you think, oh, I don't know, that must be a lot of rough people. But that is not the case at all. They're very nice people, and it doesn't matter where you go to a wedding, you know, and on top of the cake you don't have bride and groom like most people. They have a stock car, or a banger or whatever. You go to a christening, you know, and it's all to do with stock cars. Everything is stock cars all the time, you know.
It's a way of life, isn't it?
It is a way of life, completely, yeah.
Do you tend to have your own drivers that stay with you in your meetings, or do they go all over the country to...
No, well, they are allowed to go to other meetings. We contract all our own drivers. They have to sign a sole contract with us at the beginning of the season. But we also belong to an association that runs controls stock car racing throughout the country. And anybody that's in that association can have our drivers from time to time for championships or on occasions when we're not using them.
The whole thing, I'm getting very excited about this. It's warming up, it's already getting my blood going.
Yeah, well, these are national hot rods which are out there now, and that is the top formula really in our type of racing, and you're talking a very expensive, a lot of money tied up in those cars.
And they're really shifting too.
Yes, yeah, and I mean they're not really trying at the moment.
Well, Les, very many thanks for your time.
It's a pleasure.
You're going to choose a piece of music for us now?
Yes, I would like Glenn Miller, if possible, with American Patrol.